Armentor Art, YouTube number 4. ArmentorArt.com, ArtFreeWill.com. Hi, and welcome to the Armentor Art YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about this piece right here. This piece is in progress, obviously. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is to show you what a piece looks like before it is fleshed out all the way. So what we have here is a piece that has been roughed out already. When I go in with the freehand, and then it's got a little bit of freehand shielding afterwards, just to give it a really defined but still at the same time basic shape. So it allows me to define the flow of the piece. This stage of the artwork allows me to get a good perspective on where I want to go with it. Lots of times when I get right here, I'll slow down just a little bit before I really hammer down and flesh it out all the way. If you pay close attention, you can see how it's not really filled in almost all the way. And that's done on purpose. And there's a few benefits to that. For one, I let the background bleed through and it gives it a little bit of texture, okay? So I'm not hammering down on it. I'm just lightly spraying the airbrush paint onto the surface. And if you look at my earlier YouTube videos, you'll see that that's a pretty common theme with my work and with the work of lots of successful airbrush artists. You're not painting a house, you know, the objective is not to put a whole bunch of material on the surface. Your objective is to get the look that you want. So you don't want to go at it like, you know, you're painting a fence. You're not whitewashing something. So if it's a little blotchy, if it's a little spotty, you know, don't worry about it. There's always time to come back and tune those things in later that you don't really like the way it's coming out. So the most important thing is to get the flow of the piece down and not overwhelm it by just hammering down. That's a pretty common mistake that people make when they're doing airbrush, is they want coverage, you know, and I can understand it. They want to achieve hiding, is what they say in the automotive industry, where you can't see the color behind it. But we're not painting a fence, we're not painting a car, we're making art. So in my mind, the most important thing is to flesh it out where it's something that you can see, something you can get your mind around, and really be able to appreciate where you're at with the shape. Because the way I do art, and maybe other people are a little bit different, but the way it comes out when I do it, my sketch is going to be quite a bit different than whatever the painting ends up to be. And over the years, I've learned not to fight it, you know. You just gotta let the piece flesh it out on its own. You have to let it have its own life. Otherwise, it looks forced, it looks mechanical, and frankly, you're not going to be happy with it more than likely. So, that's it. What we have here is a sign blank that's been sanded down with wet 500 sandpaper. And it's just the powder coat substrate. So, really all I'm doing is flattening out that substrate, giving it some tooth, making sure that it doesn't have that meaty look that powder coat gets. And I'm painting right over that. It saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of money. It's not always the look I'm going for. On this particular piece, I was like, well, you know, it's really going to be a foreground piece. The background really wasn't that important to me. I really wanted a lot of pop and it just to be really kind of in your face, with not a whole lot of background distractions. If you go to my previous video, YouTube number 3, you'll see that Vanguard has a lot going on in the background, and I wanted that. That was a purposeful thing, and I think it really worked well for the piece. In this case, I might go add a little bit of background later, maybe some squiggly lines or something, but it's not going to be really defined. Maybe just a little something to break up the monotony, or I might not put any at all. The powder coat isn't ugly. It looks kind of like a chalkboard right now, but when it's cleared, it's got a little bit of depth to it. It's a brown-based black as far as I know. So it's going to have a little bit of a brown tint to it. But if you take care to use really vibrant, stunning colors in your foreground, I've noticed that it really doesn't hurt, Especially with the House of Color paints. They really have a way of popping no matter what they're on. You could paint it on a brick and it would probably look good. So I don't spend a lot of time really worrying about the background unless the background is going to be part of the piece. And I did set an example for that. This piece is called Greater. I don't know how well you can see it. Let's put a little light on that, why don't we? And obviously the background on this piece was very important to me. I sanded down the powder coated sheet metal just like I have over there. But on this piece I put some House of Color base coat on there. And I think it's called Cinder Red. Yes, in fact I know it's called Cinder Red. And it's on a white background, okay? The panels I buy are black on one side, white on the other. And the reason why I chose a white background is I wanted a lot of pop. And this piece obviously has that. As you can see over there, since it's a black background, you're not going to have quite as much pop. But on a white background, you have a lot of pop. You can really, really see the pearlized paint come through there. Look at that silver right there. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but my eye really is. I mean, it's beautiful. But you're not always going for that type of look, You're not always going for that bass boat sort of glitter. But in this case I was. I think it worked out well. There's a shot of it up on the easel. Lots of really vibrant colors. When I show it in the sunlight, it gets a lot of attention. I call it Greater. It's kind of a Rorschach piece. I like to put it in front of people and see what they think about it. The color that I'm using for this base coat is lemon yellow, House of Color lemon yellow. It's got great hiding. If I wanted it to be a little bit more popish, I just made up a word, but it kind of describes what I'm talking about. I would have put that titanium white behind it, just to give it that extra oomph. I wasn't really looking for that extra oomph on this one. I was figuring that the lemon yellow would probably be enough to get me where I want to go. And with this one I'm going to use some long fluid lines. I think it's going to look really good. I'll probably come back with some apple red. If you haven't noticed, I really like apple red. I really like the sunset orange that House of Color makes. Hell, I like all their colors. They're just fantastic. Can't say enough good things about them. My objective with this piece is to show it going all the way through its different stages of development. I'm going to skip the initial layout because, to be quite frank with everybody out there, I got a little bit bored with this piece. Who knows why? Who knows why artists do anything? Why do we lock ourselves away in little rooms and paint for hours on end and get all emotional about it? I can't answer that question. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. There's been several times where I wish I'd never had picked up a pen, a paintbrush, or anything. But, with maturity, you kind of get past that. So here I am. Okay, well, this is a basic layout, the beginning of a piece.